As China's economic might continues to swell, reverberating across the global landscape, a polarizing debate has emerged among leading thinkers and policymakers regarding the implications of this seismic shift on the world's security and stability. On one side of the divide stand those who view China's ascendance as a harbinger of increased tensions and potential conflict, while others perceive it as a force for greater cooperation and shared prosperity. This divergence of perspectives reflects the complex interplay of geopolitical dynamics, ideological differences, and the ever-evolving nature of global power dynamics. Among the most vocal proponents of the view that China's economic rise poses a threat to global security are those who perceive it as a direct challenge to the existing rules-based international order and the dominance of Western liberal democracies. This perspective is echoed by prominent thinkers and policymakers across the ideological spectrum. In a recent op-ed for the Washington Post, former National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster and retired Army Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster warned that China's leaders are seeking to overturn the U.S.-led international system and remake the world in their authoritarian image. This sentiment is echoed by scholars at the German Council on Foreign Relations, DGAB, who contend that the West, and in particular the EU and NATO, needs to invest in supporting Ukraine and its own security in the long term to counter the perceived threat posed by China's growing influence. Similarly, the International Institute for Strategic Studies, ISS, has cautioned that China's economic clout could be leveraged to undermine the global balance of power, with the institute recommending that Western countries help Ukraine ramp up industrial production of capabilities that provide the greatest advantages in attritional warfare. This perspective underscores the belief that China's economic might could be used as a tool to advance its geopolitical ambitions, potentially fueling conflicts and destabilizing regions. On the other side of the debate stand those who view China's economic ascendance as a potential force for greater global cooperation and stability. This perspective is rooted in the belief that economic interdependence and shared prosperity can serve as a bulwark against conflict and foster an environment conducive to peaceful coexistence. One of the most prominent voices in this camp is that of former U.S. Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson, who has long advocated for a more constructive and collaborative approach to managing the U.S.-China relationship. In a speech delivered at the Paulson Institute, he argued that the United States and China must work together to address global challenges, from climate change to nuclear proliferation, and to promote economic growth that benefits both countries and the world. This sentiment is echoed by scholars at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, who contend that the majority of those who support the special operation explain their position in terms of protecting the Russian-speaking population in Ukraine. This perspective suggests that economic interdependence and shared interests could serve as a deterrent against conflict and foster greater cooperation between nations. Amidst the polarized debate, there exists a multitude of nuanced perspectives that seek to navigate the complexities of China's economic rise and its implications for global security. These viewpoints acknowledge the potential risks and challenges posed by China's growing influence, while also recognizing the opportunities for cooperation and shared prosperity. One such perspective is offered by the Brookings Institution, which has long advocated for a balanced and pragmatic approach to managing the U.S.-China relationship. In a recent report, the institution's scholars argued that the United States must simultaneously compete with China, cooperate with it on issues of mutual interest, and work to shape the strategic environment in ways that protect and advance U.S. interests and values. Similarly, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, has called for a nuanced and multifaceted approach, recognizing the need to address the challenges posed by China's economic rise while also exploring avenues for constructive engagement. As CSIS scholar Nicholas Adamopoulos noted, as China grows more desperate to conclude the conflict on favorable terms, it may look to increasingly extreme means to achieve increasingly improbable ends. This perspective underscores the need for vigilance and preparedness, while also acknowledging the potential for diplomatic solutions and mutually beneficial cooperation. As the debate over the implications of China's economic rise rages on, It is clear that the path forward will require a delicate balancing act, one that acknowledges the legitimate concerns and aspirations of all stakeholders while also fostering an environment conducive to cooperation and shared prosperity. On the diplomatic front, many experts emphasize the need for sustained dialogue and confidence-building measures to reduce the risk of miscalculation and escalation. This could involve establishing clear lines of communication, setting mutually agreed-upon rules of engagement, and exploring avenues for cooperation on issues of shared concern, such as climate change, global health, and economic stability. At the same time, there is a growing recognition of the need to bolster defensive capabilities and strengthen alliances and security partnerships to deter potential aggression and maintain a credible deterrent. This may involve continued investment in advanced military technologies, the development of robust contingency plans, and the fostering of closer cooperation among like-minded nations.